What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. I, of course, am JB. Today we are going to talk about Ripple's XRP. Now, I want to quash some things I've seen online recently. On the likes of TikTok, certain influencers are pumping XRP that the case is about to be settled. Now, of course, I do not know 100% yes or no whether or not the case is about to be settled. We can speculate, but that is all that would be. We know that there are some firm dates that we need to keep our eye on for Ripple, for XRP, for the SEC. There's a lot going on there, guys. I want to dive into it today in a bit more analysis. So first of all, we'll come over here and have a quick look at this article, and it's talking about the ongoing Ripple lawsuit that puts regulatory power to the test. Now, there's a whole load in this article, but we're not going to focus too much on anything but dates. Now, the dates we can see in front of us, March 22nd, this is the date that the SEC must file the open remedies related brief. Now, that is what, a week from today. April 22nd, another month down the line, Ripple must submit their opposition brief. Then the 6th of May, the SEC must file its reply brief. So for any chance of this to be over with within the next week, perhaps month, is highly unlikely. We can see firm dates here that still have to be met. And if we're going to be honest, this case really could drag on yet another year. I do think this will have to be settled in order to see this over and done with. And I just wanted to put that one out there before we get into the analysis for today's video. I don't think it's going to be finished in the next week. I don't actually think it's going to be finished in the next month. I do think we are close to all this being over and done with. I want to see it over and done with, and I want to see that price explosion for XRP. And I truly do think that will happen. We'll speculate on some potential targets in today's update. Now, yes, a settlement may come out of the blue, and that would be incredibly bullish. But there's so much still to happen here. We don't even know what the fine is going to be handed down throughout this whole case. So yeah, just wanted to start today's video off with that little snippet where I'm positioned. I don't think the case will be settled this week. We've only got a matter of hours left of this week, of course. But even this month, I think it is highly unlikely. So we're going to have a look at a few other things for Ripple's XRP today, have a look at the price analysis, have a quick look at some on-chain data. Let's get into it, guys. Let's not waste any more time. So we will start off over here on the weekly chart. The most recent update we did, of course, we were looking at Ripple. We were looking at XRP pushing up to the target area here between 73.88 and 79.16. With the optimism that we may come up and test the upper trend line here, that would have seen the price come up to 80.61 cents for this weekly candle. Now, of course, this market has corrected very heavily in the last 24 to 36 hours, seeing the price of XRP come back down to 62.6 cents. But with the price coming down to this level, we can see on this weekly chart it has came back down into a very strong area of previous supply and demand between 60 and 62 cents. So we do look like we could find a bit of support here, and we may still potentially have that chance to push on up to test out the upper area of resistance that we have found here historically. This area falling between 75 and 80 cents. We do still have the possible opportunity of moving the price back up to there. We can see the stochastic on this weekly is sitting at 80%. It's not yet overbought, and there is a potential for the stochastic to progress further on the weekly time frame. Now, we can, of course, look at the cheeky cipher. When we were looking at the last analysis, we were obviously talking about the go long signal, which did play out fantastically well. Should we have bought the bottom, sold at the top? That would have been around about 44.75% gains on that signal so far. And as we can see, we have not yet been printed with anything bearish as of yet. The VWAP is still positive. We do still have momentum to the upside here on the weekly time frame. I'm not concerned overly just yet by what has happened. The market has been shook with CPI and PPI coming in much hotter than expected, but we can see that Ripple's XRP is back down in its area where it has previously found support here back in November and December. Should we lose this area, well, then we might be a bit more concerned that we may come down towards the next area of support and resistance, and that area would fall between 55 and 52 cents. But until we do break this area, I'm not looking at this point just yet. And at that point, of course, we would see this lower trend line tested once again around about that 55 cents level. But as we can see on this weekly time frame, it does look like we're going to try and find support at this point. Now we'll drop it down onto the daily time frame again. It's quite an interesting read. The previous analysis, we obviously spoke about this expanding pattern to the upside, seeing that internal fifth wave move finish. Then of course we did collapse back down to the lower trend line, where we did see the price come down to 53.86 cents. Then from there, we have seen yet another fantastic run to the upside. But what I want to do here is take that 100% move that we did see in that 5-wave structure and bring it over to the swing low we have here at 53.86 cents. And what we can see, interestingly, is XRP essentially bounced off of the 1-to-1 at around about 74.19 cents. We've seen the price come up to 74.4. So yes, slightly higher, but ultimately bouncing from the 1-to-1 of that previous move. But what we do have in our favour here for XRP is we are coming down, and it does look like we're going to find support on the daily 50 EMA, which is currently sitting at 59.33 cents, and that also aligns with equilibrium, where we can see the candle did indeed wick down but find support on the lower end of the daily equilibrium. But what that has also done has shook the stochastic indicator down to the bottom. We are once again coming down to oversold for XRP on the daily, sitting around about 25% just now. I do expect to see that one correct over the course of the weekend. So we have seen a dramatic drop to the downside. Where could we potentially look for an initial retracement for XRP to push on up to? Well, so far it has already came up into the lower expectation or the lower potential here for its price action at the 0.5 Fibonacci level. This coming in at 66.59 cents. And as a retracement, we could see this one come up as high as 72.48. And what that would tell us is that we are in a retracement to the upside, where there may indeed still be another move to the downside to come. But overall, the daily does still look like we are in a progressive move to the upside for XRP. Now, of course, that retracement area would become invalid should we push higher than 74.44 cents. And then at that point, we can reanalyze the move, where on the weekly time frame, we would see it come back up a little higher into the previous area of resistance. Now down onto the 4-hour time frame, BitGet as always being the data source for these guys, we can see how we are finding a bit of support on this lower trend line. We had it on the daily chart. We'll quickly look at it here. We have seen the price wick on down on this 4-hour time frame. The stochastics are oversold, so it does look like we are going to look for that retracement we're looking at on the daily chart here. With us coming up just now to test out equilibrium, we are of course going to look to push on through to there. Now once again, we came down and tested out the 4-hour 200 EMA, essentially finding it as support. Yes, we did wick down lower onto that lower trend line, where we now have our 2 touch points. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can hold this lower position and push up into that retracement area we looked at on a daily chart. Of course, it's going to be crucial here to break through equilibrium, close above equilibrium, and then, of course, we will be targeting up towards the 50 EMA, the 50 SMA, marked at 65.2 and 65 cents respectively. So we do have some points of resistance on this move to the upside, but a clean break above that 65.2 cent level, then it does tell us that we do have a bit of bullish narrative still here for XRP's price action. And overall, I do still think we have the potential to see XRP push on once again. We can see that on the likes of TikTok, on X, there is a real drive behind XRP again, and it's all hype speculation around the lawsuit and so forth. Now, they may know something that I don't, but we can also look at some on-chain data that tell us that the whales still don't have the information that I would expect them to have before, we do see the lawsuit settled. And of course, for that, we're going to come over here to memberships.𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗋𝗋𝐼𝑜. You guys know by now, there is a membership here for everyone. You are really missing out if you have not yet experienced memberships.𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗋𝗋𝐼𝑜. For today's purpose, we are of course coming into the data zone, into the data portal, where we will look at all things on-chain for XRP. But in particular here, I want to look at those wallet counts. Now, first of all, we'll come up to the big wallet count here. Wallets holding over 1 million XRP, and they are still down over the last few days. 7 days ago, sitting at 2,100 wallets, we are sitting at 2,092. It is down 0.38%. But in my opinion, when we do have these whale wallets heavily accumulating perhaps, and the lower wallet counts we'll get onto, at that point, I would think we're then seeing a bit of information perhaps leaked to Wales that we're going to see a settlement or we're going to see the case finished overall, but the fact that we've not seen heavy accumulation at this wallet count size leads me to think, maybe we're not closer than some people think. And that also applies here for the wallets holding over 100,000. They are down consistently over the last 90 days, static over the last 24 hours. But once again, I would expect to see this wallet count heavily increase upon the build up to the settlement of the case. Wallets holding over 10,000 XRP, well, once again, they are down over the last 90 days, slight drop over the last 24 hours. Still a fantastic amount of wallets holding over 10,000 XRP. There is 277,000. But once again, I would expect to see these guys accumulating heavily before the settlement. And I do think information leaks will come before a settlement is in place. Lastly, we will look at the wallets holding over 1,000. Now we know it doesn't require a great deal of capital to have over 1,000 XRP, but these run all the way up to 9,999 XRP within a wallet, slightly more capital. But once again, these are down over the last 90 days. There has not been heavy accumulation. There has in actual fact been some profits taking off the table. I'm not concerned about any of these wallet counts. They are not moving in a dramatic fashion one way or another. Should these wallets drop heavily, well, then something else might just be happening. Should these start accumulating heavily, well, I think that would be an early indication that we are leading up to a settlement within the case. Liquidations in the last 24 hours, a heavy amount of liquidation for XRP, 11 million with Bybit taking out the most. Liquidations, 32.82% of the market share. They took $3.632 million worth of XRP positions, and we can see 90% long, 10% shorts, of course, with that market pulling back quite heavily. Nothing standing out here, nothing I'm overly concerned with. There is no liquidations heavy in one direction than the other that stand out in the market. We can see as heavy liquidations of longs within the last 24 hours. Now, one last snippet I also want to quickly cover off here, purely because of the picture of Gary Gensler. Nice to see an animated version. The SEC are put under pressure from senators not wanting any more crypto ETFs approved. I don't think they will get their way. I do think we will see more ETFs approved within time. Of course, Ethereum highly touted to be that next ETF that will be approved. I have started dollar cost averaging into Ethereum once again, especially on these heavy pullbacks. And I do think within time XRP will also receive an ETF. I think that will be incredibly bullish. I do think XRP are in a fantastic position for an ETF once the lawsuit is settled. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's update. I hope you took something away from it, felt a bit of value from today's content. This morning I did, of course, cover off Bitcoin, all the latest ongoings, what's happening with the ETFs. That's very interesting. I do advise you guys, head on over, check it out. The video is right here. Have a fantastic weekend.